What's good, family? Obviously, you man know what time it is. Big love to my soldier, Clates Boxing, for sponsoring you man know IB, keeping it a trilly. Yeah? Hashtag team get the YB's coins to 1 trilly. No doubt. Yeah? Any other dons out there who want to join the team, you know what to do. Massage, Me Too, Epstein, that green. Me Too, that blue button, right now, no doubt, and receive exclusive content. That's what you will be getting. Anyway, on to today's topic. It's bad right now if your name is Anthony Mandela Gandhi Joshua. And I can't lie to you, when I read this little story that BT and Frank Warren and Tyson Fury are rubbing into the wound, rubbing salt and vinegar into the wound nicely. But when I read this, it kind of made me reminisce about the good times, because I'm pretty sure I was around these times. Yeah? Maybe not. In fact, no, was I? I'm not sure. Either way, the fact of the matter is, at some point in time, these were the times when AJ was that guy. Yeah? And people say things like, oh, YB, you're a turncoat. Listen, I've told you before, I'd love nothing more than to come on here. For example, let's say AJ had listened to my advice from 2.5 years ago. Yeah? I told him, hire Shane McGuigan. Maybe not then, but either way, the fact of the matter is, what we do know is that for the last year I've been screaming, for sure, hire Shane McGuigan. If he'd have done that, I believe, well, listen, what we know is, it ain't gonna be no worse, yeah? How about that? But in my opinion, I really do believe, I mean, look at Tyson Fury again, in terms of what a trainer can do. Who was speaking the other day? I forgot who it was, but some famous fighter said how important a trainer is. Oh, in fact, that was it. It was, I think it might have been James Ali Bashir. I was watching the channel BWTM. So obviously shout out to him. But listen, I think James Ali Bashir was saying, who's obviously Klitschko's former trainer and stuff like that. He was saying that, look at Klitschko's career. Look at Lennox Lewis's career. Klitschko more so, but Klitschko was washed, wasn't he? Don't forget that, people. Klitschko was washed. He was anyone who had some balls and a bit of a punch could turn up and have a go on Klitschko. No cardio having, no chin having ass. Do you understand that? So for all you goofies who say, oh, YB, it's not about the trainer. It's about this, it's about that. If it wasn't about the trainer, yeah, Vlad wouldn't have gone on to be so successful. Lennox Lewis arguably wouldn't have gone on to be so successful. I mean, even look at Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury was with Peter Fury, was with Ben Davidson, and he was, I'm sorry, but you might know, or if you listen to my channel, you know that I never rated that style. And honest people who know boxing didn't rate that style. Yeah, it was fiddly. Yeah, you could nick a fight, but ain't no one gonna remember that. If Tyson Fury had carried on down that road, he would have been the era of stinking fights out. Yeah, he'd be known as the guy who loved to stink a fight out. Now, his trajectory of his career and his legacy is going in a much more positive, much more Hall of Fame direction, if that makes sense. Bottom line, in my opinion, he was gonna. If he went, for example, let's say he nicked a fight with Vlad, he nicked a fight with Wilder, and he barely, you know what I'm saying? Even if he ended up beating all these people like AJ and Dillian White and whatnot on points, it's nowhere near the legacy if he goes on to have knocked everyone out, if that makes sense. That's the bottom line. I know Fury fans would love you to believe that, oh, no, his legacy would be the same. It wouldn't. With Peter Fury and this other guy, whatever his name, Ben Davidson, his career would have been dead. Anyway, where I'm going with this is, listen, that trainer had a whole bunch of value. Sugar Hill, 6-7 weeks, Fury's career flipped round. Who else we got? The other guy, like I said, Lennox Lewis, career flipped around. Vlad, career flipped around. But anyway, I've digressed, but where I'm going with this is to say that, end of the day, I wish we were back in these times, because you saw there, and this really does sum up, I think this says a lot about AJ's mentality as well, and how far his mentality has devolved under his current training setup. You man know that I've been telling you, his team are moist. They've been moist. Yeah, what we know about the YB is, I'm not a Johnny come lately. What you'll notice is, in the last, 2 months or 6 weeks since he lost, there's been a lot of what we call Johnny come lately dons, yeah, who have kind of jumped on the bandwagon of, oh, he needs a new trainer. But I've been saying this. And the reason that's important is because The more time you spend around moist people, the more that ingrains into your soul. It's a fact. That's the bottom line. I mean, this for me is a perfect example. Yes, BT and Tyson Fury and everyone's hopping on AJ now. Yeah, Usyk just pushed AJ's wig back. A cruiserweight just pushed AJ, Africanulese, the BFN. Yeah, Clifford the big friendly dog. Yeah, Clifford the big friendly. Oh, Clifford the big friendly dog got murked. That's for sure. Yeah, AJ, you big friendly. That's what we do know. You are. Listen, let's be honest here. In 2021, you tell me a man as big and as friendly as Anthony Joshua. Guess what? You ain't naming no one, because no one is as big and as friendly. You are super friendly. Yeah, 100%. Super duper friendly. But anyway, let's get back to the point. The point is, like I said, BT, Tyson Fury, right now, and to be honest, anyone who's having any moderate success right now is hopping on and having a quick go on AJ. That's a fact. And this is another one of them. But what's got me so upset is that this is more than... We expect the kind of the ops to rub the salt in. But for me, this is deeper than that, because this is much more of a wider reflection of where we've come from. Now, YB, what do you mean this is a wider or a broader reflection of where we come from? Well, look at what's being said here. November 2017, AJ went out of his way. Yeah? AJ wasn't set to fight Fury at that point in time. Fury was anyone to AJ at this point in time. I mean, Fury didn't come back until 14 or 13 months later. But still, guess what? AJ was... And that's the thing. Even back in 2017, not many people would consider AJ to be totally ferocious, Mike Tyson. I'll put your mother in a straitjacket style. He was still... People were still complaining he was media trained, but just look at these words. AJ in 2017 said, "Get fit, you big, bubbly whopper." Can you imagine AJ saying anything like that now? Oops. Yeah? He ain't saying nothing now. I'll tell you what he will be doing. He'll be kissing, he'll be hugging. And that's, like I said, he weren't even due to fight, my man. But nonetheless, Usyk now, he kissing, hugging, doing all this kind of weird, funny style stuff. What's wrong with this guy? What's happened to this guy? And that's what I was trying to tell you for the longest time. This is what happens. This, if you don't believe me, if you want to know the devolution, or if you want to see and study how the attitude has devolved, this is it, people. Because this man, he ain't telling no one to get fit, you big bubbly. That's what he ain't doing. He too soft. Yeah, he'd much rather take pictures and try and solve world peace and world hunger. Right now, yeah, 100%, than hurt anyone. He ain't trying to do all that. He trying to, yeah, he a statesman now. He a peace envoy for the UN, 100%. He working with Roald Dahl on a new book, the BFN, yeah, the big friendly, yeah, 100%, that's what he working on. That's what AJ's got in the pipeline. Now, unfortunately, many of us fans, we had other things in our pipeline. We expected Fury's wig to come flying off. We expected Deontay Wilder's wig to come flying off. Unfortunately, Anthony, the big friendly boxer, yeah? Anthony, the big friendly boxer, has got other plans. Like I said, he planning to try and solve world peace and trying to bring the Israeli-Palestine conflict to an end, and all them ones there. So, don't get me wrong, it's an admirable thing to be so committed to being so peaceful, but I just think it's the wrong look for trying to be a boxer, if that makes sense. Retire. Yeah, be a statesman, be a peace envoy, be a global talisman for friendliness. No problem doing that. But don't be, I'll tell you what, in fact, let me tell you what not to do. Don't be sucking the YB's coins into it. Do you understand? Let's start there. In fact, before we talk about anything else, let's talk about the coins. Yeah, that's where we should start. Don't be telling people about Kronk, and then you get in there and you trying to do some peace thing, some UN thing, some peacekeeping mission. And I've got no problem. We understand now. I've spoke to people who know AJ. They told me, YB, you can't be mad about your coins being gone, because what you don't know is you didn't know that the UN had actually tasked AJ. AJ had a dual mandate. Many of us boxing fans actually got it wrong. We believed he was going in there for a boxing fight. But in reality, Like I said, he had a dual mandate. He was tasked with being an icon of peace. Yeah, they said to him, AJ, go in there, and when he pops you in the mouth, back off. Yeah, on some MLK thing. When he pops you, give him the other cheek too. Yeah, and when he gets you on the ropes, rock and roll on there. And they said to him, listen, AJ, if we give you one piece of advice for this fight, try and be as big and for nothing as possible. That was his mandate. His mandate was to be big and for nothing. Because guess what? What we know is, I've already explained to you, man. He ain't big for something, is he? Yeah? Call me a liar. Oops. Because listen, what we know is, he ain't 6'6" for something. You ain't 6'6" because you're running through cruiserweights. That's what you're not 6 foot. That's what you're not 6'6" for. You 6'6" for nothing. Big hard back dude. Yeah? And that's the question you've got to ask yourself. AJ, when you put your head in a pillow, you've got to ask yourself, what are you 6'6" and built like Africanulese for? Because you ain't built like that to be doing no damage. You built that to be a talisman of peace. Yeah, people across the world look up to you and think, well, if AJ can be so big and so friendly, maybe I can be too. Yeah? The Israelis and the Palestinians look up to AJ and say, well, look, if that big hardback dude who looks super scary, if he can be super soft, yeah, then we can be soft too. 100%. I told you, that's what he was. That's what his mandate was for the fight. 100%. We thought it was a boxing fight. We didn't understand there was wider political task going on there. There was an underlying political element to the fight. 100%. Yeah. So we can't even, to be honest, we can't even blame AJ at this point in time. It's not his fault. You have to blame the UN. 100%. But anyway, listen. Bottom line is, right now, Team Fury, BT. They stay getting off on AJ, because what we know is, yeah, when AJ was on top, they weren't doing all this funny style stuff. Let's be real now. Let me take you back to the old times. In fact, 6 months ago, yeah, guess what? 6 months ago, what you know is, guess what? BT weren't doing no throwbacks. Do you know why BT weren't doing no fruity throwbacks? Because AJ at that point in time, number one, was on top. Even though I never rated his skills back then, even though I was still critical saying Rob McCrappen, Rob McFritzel, Fernando Alonso, Jobber Clayton must go. Yeah? Even though I was saying that, still, at that point in time, guess what? Fury didn't want none. Yeah? That's a fact, people. And whilst I've been giving Fury credit for murking Wilder and whatever else, the facts are, Fury didn't want it. He didn't. That's a fact. Rightly or wrongly. I mean, I've already admitted that I think this Fury would have beat AJ. Anyway. 100%. But that don't change the history. The history was, Fury didn't want it. Bottom line. Despite the fact Fury would have murked him anyway, it's irrelevant. He didn't want it. He was playing games for 6 months. Don't forget that, because people won't. What you got to remember is, Fury and AJ was supposed to happen in May, June. Oops. I think it was even April. Yeah, back in 2020. Back in 2020, they was talking about doing it March, April. Oops. So the fight would have been done well long before the whole announcement thing came out in May. But Fury kept playing games. So I'm bringing it up to give balance, because yeah, I'm happy to expose AJ, but let's not forget the facts. The facts were Fury was playing games for 6 months. But in March, he was saying, oh, I'm retiring and I'm going home, I'm not doing no training. So we have to be balanced here. That said, being balanced as an AJ fan ain't doing no one no favours now. Because the facts are, if AJ still has his funny style team, it's game over in my opinion. He'll never, even if by magic he ends up improving somehow, he's still never going to reach his potential, in my opinion. Even if magically he managed to nick through his next fight, he's never going to be his best, his final form. He'll always be underperforming by 80%. And I think people know now that's a fact. Because he's never going to max out his FIFA scores with these goofies who don't know a lick about boxing. He's got no cardio. I mean, I'm confused. How can a guy be putting no ferociousness in? How can a guy be putting no ferociousness in and still be gassed and hanging on the ropes against a cruiserweight who we know at cruiserweight had no definitive power? He didn't. In fact, you man show me a fight in U6 cruiserweight career that he had a man on the ropes, clinging on for dear life. Show me it. I don't remember. I'm not saying I've watched all of his fights, but I don't remember it. I remember him winning the Super 6 tournament. with the WBSS or whatever it was called. I remember him winning that, and all he did in that thing was just bore people to death. But yet he goes up to heavyweight, and he's moshing you all over the ring. That's mad. And then you blame your trainer. And yeah, your trainer's crap, but number one, that's your fault. Because I've been telling you that for 2 years. Oops. 2.5 years. Number two, don't tell me it was your trainer's fault that you didn't know that getting popped in the mouth weren't right. And by the way, again, if you are conceding that, yeah, it's my trainer's fault that I was getting popped in the mouth and I didn't know anything about the strategy, then that even more so says that, what are you doing still with your crap training team? I'm sorry. You can't have it both ways. Either you say, yeah, my team is perfect, but it's my fault, and therefore I'm keeping my great team. Or you say, which is what you said, my team crap, they didn't give me the wrong strategy, and they must go. This shows you how fruity AJ's mentality is. You've exposed your team. You said they gave you the wrong game plan. Completely wrong. Not even a bit right. They gave you no cardio. Had you completely unprepared. But yet you're saying, yeah, well, if my same team want their jobs, they can have them. If my same team want their multi-million-dollar jobs, they can have them with open arms. What? But like I said, this is a man who is super friendly. Yeah, that's what he's been put on the earth to do. And in a way, we have to blame ourselves as fans because it's not AJ's fault. Yeah? It's not AJ's fault that he's given us mixed messages. It's not AJ's fault that he's 6'6" for nothing, is it? All he knows is that he came out and he's 6'6" and big for nothing. It's not his fault. And it makes sense now. People say, "Oh, YB AJ looks confused." Well, trust me, if you was 6'6" and for nothing, you'd be confused too. Like, what? Why is YB riding me every day? I'm just big for nothing. I'm just big and friendly looking. I'm a big friendly looking ass. Yeah. Why is everyone mad at me for? Why is everyone expecting me to be totally ferocious? I'm big and friendly. I'm the Clifford the dog. Yeah. I'm Clifford the big friendly. So we have to. I feel like I've done a lot of evaluation in the last few days and weeks, and I think that's the conclusion I've come to. We can't blame a man for being big and friendly. He is super friendly. He loves being friendly. Yeah, that's what he likes to do. AJ likes to be friendly. He likes to be friendly to his bum team. He likes to be friendly to his opponents, and that's just what it is, people. The quicker you man get to that same point I'm at, the better for everyone. He is friendly. He loves it. He loves being friendly more than he loves fighting. And if you disagree, show me something to the contrary. Oh, but YB, what about 2002? Wow. 18 years ago don't count, people. I mean, we're literally 5 years since AJ was totally ferocious. I'd say the Dillian White fight was the last time, because even the Vad fight, if you actually watch it, the first 4 rounds, he's fannying around. And I think it's quite ironic that, guess what? AJ actually didn't fully employ Rob McCracken until December 2016. So it's almost like, wait there, AJ was fully with Tony Sims during the Dillian White fight. He was totally ferocious, totally masculine, totally alpha. Rob McCracken comes in, and then 6 months later, he's flapping against Vlad for 4 rounds. But luckily, Tony Sims was in the corner, and Tony Sims told him, it's time to get on him now. It's time to try and forget that crap Rob's taught you in the first 4 rounds. You can watch it yourself. Go back and watch the Vlad fight. What happens for the first 4 rounds? Oops. That's what you call Rob. That's Rob 101 right there. And unfortunately, what happened in the last 8 rounds, that ferociousness has been trained out of him, has been bored out of him over the last 4 years, since Tony Sims has been gone. But yeah, anyway, it's not going to be a long one. You see there, BT, Team Fury, you can't even knock it, but I do find it funny that they weren't saying nothing, was they? Let's be honest now. You man show me any funny style kind of little digs that BT or Team Fury were doing when the negotiations were going on. They weren't doing no funny style digs. They was keeping their head down, trying to lay low. That's what they was doing, yeah? They was talking about, oh, well, C19. That's what they were saying. They weren't trying to kind of stoke the fire. They was keeping their head down and talking about, well, we can't have the fight because it's C19. Yeah? But now, like I said, I'm not knocking them because they've got the right to do this now. Because listen, what's the big friendly giant going to be doing? What's the BFN going to do? What's the big for nothing going to do? What's the big friendly? Yeah, he ain't gonna do nothing. He gonna probably say, Tyson, can I get a photo? Yeah, can me and you get a, can I get, oh, Tyson, can I get a photo with your belt? Because I haven't got any, because I haven't got mine. The cruiserweight took mine. Yeah, that's what he gonna be doing. I've heard that AJ's been in Tyson Fury's DMs and asking for, kind of, telling him a sob story. Oh, you know, a cruiserweight took my belts, and do you think that I could borrow yours for a weekend? Because that's what I'm hearing. Yeah, no doubt.